Good afternoon, everyone. Excellency Green, good to meet with you again. Fellow Guyanese, it's my pleasure to be here. We've got about 5 to 10 minutes to talk about cash transfers. And you may ask, those of you who have never seen me before, which would be most of you, what qualifies me to talk about anything, especially cash transfers? First of all, I'm a former public servant. I come from a family that was poor. I worked for a brief while in the private sector here. Yes, wheelbarrows in a commercial entity, moving stone for days on end. And I'm a pensioner. So when you add those constituencies up, you come across a cross-section of Guyanese who know that there is oil here and oil money. But as a 80-year-old woman said to me yesterday, Gabe, you know, since the oil come, it didn't touch me. I say, you sure it can make a difference? She said, no difference, I did the same way. How many other 70 and 80-year-olds, I'm 67, does she speak for? Let's look at our context. The difference today is that unlike when I was a youth, we can't talk about not having sufficient or no funds. We have plenty money. We got plenty money, sisters and brothers. End of story. So now, today I heard, and we'll touch upon that briefly as time permits, about the president a couple of hours ago and his announcements. But here's our context today. Oh, the numbers. The numbers are glowing. The World Bank says 57% GDP growth last year. And the IMF and ECLAC, Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. Numbers, numbers, numbers. The World Bank says we are a high-income people. $13,846 per man, woman, worker, and child in this country. In theory and on paper, you got anywhere near to $2.5 million a year coming to you? Hence, we must talk about cash transfers. And we ain't talking about $25,000. Oh, man. Oh, don't insult me. I don't punish him. Don't insult me. I'm struggling. Now, here's this. Straight out of the budget. Straight out of the 2023 budget. $387.8 billion for capital expenditure. 50%. Must be building a lot of things. 136.1 billion Guyana dollars for roads and bridges. We are preparing for the 22nd century. Good. But what about preparing our people to get to tomorrow and to next week? That's our story. That's why we talk about cash transfers and the need for it and the necessity of it and the urgency of it. It's not next year. It's not where we can maximize revenues years ahead. It is now. It is now, sisters and brothers. Here's the story. 387 point something billion and 136.1. Look at what people get. 8.6 because we care, billion. 4.4 pension. 3.3 the tax threshold. Add that up and I get 16.3. My head a little slow now, but I think I got it close. 16.3, throw in the subsidy for electricity. Let's not forget that. And for Guy Oil and the gasoline. But it is a mere fraction of what is spent on wood and sand and cement and stone. People have to survive. People got to take care of the children. And what we are getting is far from enough to get us there. That's the context of where Guyana is today, where the Guyanese worker, where the Guyanese pensioner, where the Guyanese villager and citizen is today. Most of them, almost all of them. To give you a little context for me, I'm a remigrant, so I hear about 25,000 one-half next month, and I say, well, I can get something more for this somebody, plus the 33. I heard about the Honorable Vice President saying a month ago, I don't know why I was the Minister of Social Protection, that 7,000 will come to the pensioners for the next 2 years. 2 years for a total of 7,000 Guyana dollars. Somebody crazy around here? Somebody so callous around here? So lacking in care for the citizens of this country? We come to cash transfers. How do you do that? What is that? It is putting money into the hands of the workers of this country, of the citizens of this country. Minimum wage. Oh God. The president can talk about minimum wage maybe sometime or the other. Today, 9th of November, 2 months ago, he spoke, oh, well, we've got to examine the books because and check our finances and to see where we are in terms of what we can do. But we can do. Go from $60,000 to $75,000 a month, 60,147 to 75. Public servants entry level from 80,000 to 190. That ain't gonna cut it. That's not going to cut it. The minimum wage has to be addressed just as aggressively as infrastructure. It cannot be addressed with this tentativeness. 10,000 here and 8%. And year after year, it's the same thing. I'm in the midst of trade unionists, so I'm not going to talk about collective bargaining. Who am I? The breaches there, and about imposition, and about unilateralism. What I'm going to talk about is that the people need money in their hand to get a little spending power. We are the richest people in the world. Everybody tell me that. But like the old lady said, it didn't reach me yet. It didn't reach everybody saying it didn't reach me yet. So when we're waiting for our envelope with 25,000, that is not the answer. The minimum wage has to be addressed, cash transferred directly. You got to get a child allowance. The whole regime has to be addressed in terms of, I would say, let's start with zero VAT. Zero VAT, we can afford it. I would say let us look at the income tax and say, don't worry with this thing about go from 720 to 900, go the whole thing and make people at a certain level up to, I would say, $2 million. $2 million in free pay. So there it is, minimum wage, you're gonna go from 60, 80, private, public, and go to something, we're gonna talk about 130, 150. Now you're talking. Now you're talking money. Now you're talking serious money, right? So here's the other part. So minimum wage, taxes, money in people's hand directly. People who are looking after the elderly. People who got newborn children. People who got school-age children. It's not the 40,000 they're going to put in your hand and then you run and go to Regent Street. It is got to be a comprehensive package that takes some of the oil money and put it into the hands of our people. $156 billion. I'm going to check it for yourself. $156 billion was withdrawn from the oil fund this year. Any dollar touch you? Should I say anything more? This is oil money. If somebody tell me that the president is a Muslim, I don't know why he believes he's St. Nicholas, that he got come with these December Christmas gifts. He's not Santa Claus and he's got to stop having that mentality. 25,000 and the giant services can get a month pay, and next week you can talk about nurses and teachers and doctors. No, no, folks. It has to be a program. It's got to be a programmatic, a systematic, and a consistent thing across the board that addresses the needs of the Guyanese man and family. This is where we are. This is what cash transfer in its substance represents. We can talk about this for hours. In the 10 minutes, I hope I've done justice to this. And I thank you all for listening.
What we're going to do, we know we got some pavement lawyers downstairs here. We know we got some pavement lawyers in the audience. So GSK said, you know what, Lincoln? I want to take the question. I want to ask, anybody want to ask anything, you can ask it now. Because when he leaves here, don't ask me what you're supposed to ask him. So let me hear him. Huh? Who say you want to say something? Listen, what he said? Oh, come. No, this is recorded. It's recorded.
Yes, sir. This is not going to be readily approved or agreed to by anybody, especially those in power right now. Is there a suggested way that we can go about to get them to even begin to listen to us before we could, about how we're doing this cash transfer? Thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad that question came up because I thought for a moment, I bored y'all so much everybody fell asleep. Anyhow, look, we're talking and nobody's listening. We're writing and people are cursing. That's the reaction you get. Instead of looking on the trade unions or citizens or conscientious objectors as enemies, look upon them as people who are cognizant of their circumstances and of the national situation and are looking to carve a space out of where we are. So I think it's a ratcheting up process. Talk, and you write, and you reach out, and when that doesn't happen, sir, then you have to take it to another level. I remember the trade unions of before. Yes, I know there's some divide and whatever else, but we've got to find ways to overcome that. As governments have become resourceful, citizens become adaptable.
Anything else? I know I want this money just like Ali, you know. No, you're very indisciplined.
Audio check.
Oh, I was saying, as human rights is out of the door, and whenever we do stand as a collective, the government arms send their armed forces to shoot and to kill us, should we do then? With the human rights out of the window and the door, and whenever we decide to stand up as a collective, the government send their arms to shoot us down. What should we do then?
I think we should call Excellency Green to answer that one. Anyhow, Nothing worthwhile is achieved without sacrifice. That's the short answer. Every day I write in the paper, or I speak at a forum like this, or on the radio, or I join with David Hines on his program. You're joining with a racist. You come in for that kind of flack. You come in for the kind of attention that I have in front of my house daily. Compliments of the state. We have to decide whether we're going to live on our knees or stand on our feet. And that is a very, very expansive statement. We each have to decide that. There comes a time when we say, enough is enough. We can't, look, the days of slavery done. Don't let nobody put it back on you. I don't want anybody to put it back on me. I will not allow anybody to do that to me. So you bring on your police. You bring on your police. We can deal with it. This is better.
This is the man who run Defenders Union. Come around.
I would like to make a suggestion with this judgment. Now, we are all citizens of Guyana, and if we can come together and make a database with all our names, we make an application and challenge the government in court. Is that possible for all money?
I think the first step is that the unions have to decide how it's going to address what the president did 2 hours ago.